Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Franklin County BPW's Working Women Helping Women TV show. And with me tonight, I'm the president of Franklin County BPW, Danielle Martel, and with me tonight is BPW Vermont State Treasurer and our YC and IDP chair for Franklin County and for the state, Ms. Trish Woodward. So welcome.
Thank you. Now you said it all. We can go.
I said it all. It's not that easy.
No.
So would you like to tell us about yourself? A little background?
Yep. I joined BPW, I think about 5 years ago, and mainly through contact with Marilyn Grunwald. Mm-hmm. And it was a little bit odd because I'm not a joiner. And, I don't like kind of clubs and things in general. But anyway, I went to a couple of meetings and I found that I really enjoyed meeting people. And the other thing that I liked was some of the programs, But for 2 years, I did the finances, raising money, which is always, you're good at it. You like it, like you did a marvelous job last year, you did. But I don't like that too much. But I do like the programs I have been involved with at Camp BPW. I think Jackie was here, mm-hmm. and she talked to you about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I can talk about that too. Okay. And then the other two programs, the IDP you mentioned and the YC. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth, who runs the station here, mm-hmm. she was a YC for Franklin County. And you were.
Yes, last year.
So I'm going to turn it back to you and ask you.
Oh, you get to ask me the question.
Yeah, what you got out of being the YC. I mean, the Young Careerist Program, the aim is to help other younger, people who are just starting their career. Mm-hmm. And it isn't so much, you certainly don't get any money out of it, but the kind of acknowledgement of the work you're doing and your commitment and ethic and stuff, So what did you get out of it?
It was a great experience. The networking was wonderful, getting to meet a lot of people from the state who I'd never met before. I got to meet with two wonderful ladies from Burlington and from St. Johnsbury who I probably would have never met any other way. Very nice ladies. They've done quite a lot. It was very interesting. And I learned a lot about public speaking and interview skills, and it was a great experience, and I definitely encourage other people to try it. I mean,
well, I hope so. I hope this year that we'll be able to get more candidates. And, we were over in Champlain, over in Plattsburgh last week, talking to people there. And so I think let me ask you, I mean, did you find the process like the way it's set up? I mean, you speak at the local level, you do the 4-minute speech. And then, if you win that, then you go on to the state level. And then also with the regional level, mm-hmm. that the past presidents are now doing. And but I was kind of interested. I went on to the BPW Foundation, the kind of motherboard organization, and they're doing research on what they call the Generation Y. Right. I'm not quite sure. They have there like a list of 20 characteristics. Yep. And I'm not quite sure where they got them. I'm not sure that, like when I look at my granddaughters or I look at you and look at other people, I don't see the what they have up there is so kind of impersonal, and they do have a couple of things about being committed to community work, but it seems a little self-serving and seeking, and I don't find that with most people. I find most people really are pretty much into their families, they're into their work, but trying very hard to achieve goals, which I find very odd, because when I was growing up, no one ever talked about setting goals. I mean, and or objectives. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a whole kind of new thing that mainly I think, maybe up to 20 years ago, if you graduated from college, you knew you'd get a job. People don't have that kind of security nowadays. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that BPW can develop, and be able to help people. and this kind of segue into the IDP program, the Individual Development Program, because the aim of that is, you know, to help a person with their individual development. And, you know, the program itself has these 15 modules, and they run the whole gamut from like things that you really like, job satisfaction, determining your personality type, your leadership style, to parliamentary procedures, running, you know, meetings and stuff, press releases, and networking. And the excuse me, the training I had in that was 2 days, and it was really fun. You know, we were away for the weekend, and you know, it's kind of nice to be able to sit and just kind of think about who you are, what you want to be. The people who run it are fantastically good at what they do. They know their stuff. They really, really do. They're committed to the organization. They are committed to helping people. Most of them, I think, have been state presidents. I mean, they really have, yeah, really have committed. Okay, and they paced the meetings very well. They really were good at engaging people in interaction. The timing was really excellent, and their knowledge, you know, too. I mean, they obviously have a prepared kind of curriculum, but they went well beyond that. And the other thing is, during the downtime, there were people from Maine, New Hampshire. I think there was one person from Connecticut, obviously from Vermont. I don't think there was anyone from Rhode Island, but it was really fun to meet women. I mean, regionally a little bit different, but you know, not hugely so. So you had lots of things in common, but then there were, you know, issues that they had. Like if you're in Maine and you're running a gift shop, you know, it's a little different from, you know, if you're, you know, kind of a lawyer, I guess. And one of the issues that we really, several of us really talked about is, you know, in business and professional women, exactly what professional means nowadays. Because I think it goes back a little bit about the goals.
Right.
That I think 20, 30 years ago, professional meant you were like a lawyer, you were an accountant. You know, they were pretty standard things. IT, you know, profession didn't exist.
Right.
And I think there are so many of the professions that maybe are more associated with the technical schools and even with the standard academic approach that are really professional. You know, it demands a tremendous amount of knowledge. I mean, a mechanic at one point could really be, do things intuitively.
Right.
You can't anymore, you know? So, those 3 programs, the Camp BPW, you know, working with the people, you know, 18 or so, giving them a day to experience work with older people, helping them prepare, you know, out of high school. The young careerist and the IDP, they all kind of mesh and tie in, you know, with the overall mission of the organization. So I really have kind of gotten to be interested in that. And also, I think a little bit fascinated watching other people. I love watching you and see what you're doing and how much you enjoy things. And I think the fun, the exuberance that you have brought to the organization, I mean, just watching that is really, really good. I mean, I spent years teaching, so I really enjoy watching other people work. Yeah. So.
It's nice to see them grow, like especially the Camp BPW, to see those girls when they walk in and they're so shy and they're quiet and they're so nervous, and they leave there and you can feel their confidence level had gone up. You know, you can just tell by the way that they walk and talk and the way they communicate with each other, and it's absolutely an amazing thing. And you know, you get a chance to basically, and it's awareness
Yep.
You know, they become aware of reality and what they need to do to be able to make the money, to be able to do what they would like to do. Like you said, different professions. You know,
Yep.
you don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer to be able to survive. You know,
Yep.
so I think that's a wonderful. It's amazing to see the growth even in one day. So
Well, I think you and I experienced that in like just traveling with people. You know, at Camp BPW this year.
transporting them was half the fun of the day.
It was absolutely, and listening to people talk, and like, I guess after 10, 15 minutes, they would share their dreams and their ideas, their fantasies, and you know, they're beginning to grow away from parents, and so expressing their own individuality, and it's really very touching, you know, when they open up like that. I really like that, yeah.
Yes, it's a great program.
I think so, all three of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the IDP thing, the biggest thing for growth for that, it's an internal growth. It's you recognize your own strengths and weaknesses and you help to grow them, you know. So I think that's a huge thing that Franklin County is definitely going to become more involved in. Yeah. Do more of that locally.
I think it was very interesting when we were making that presentation the other day. I think someone commented that she'd been doing something for a long, long time and like what could she get out of it? And I think we both had the same kind of reaction that, hey, at any point in life, you know, I'm somewhat older than you, but you know, at any point in life you can stop, and maybe I need to stop more than you do because, you know, whatever, but you can stop and really think about who you are and what you are and where you want to go. You know, it's like making a New Year's resolution. You know, you do it for 2 days, and then in June you wake up one day and think, oh, I haven't done it. Right. And I think programs like IDP help you become mindful. They help you focus and refocus, you know, on what you're doing. And I think, too, you may have done something for 30 years, but I don't really believe you've been doing the same thing all the time.
Everything's always changing.
And if you have, that would be pretty sad, you know. So,
you have to grow and change to keep building up not only your business, but building up yourself.
Yeah.
You have to continue to change and grow.
Yeah, you know, the other thing, one of my granddaughters, she graduated now, you know, took business. And one day she said to me, well, what do you do when you go to those meetings, you know? And I told her a little bit. And she was kind of dumbstruck because, you know, especially talking about the gap in equality, pay equality. But more than that is the fact that women do in general feel that they can be pretty competitive. I mean, I know that it's still, 5% of the major CEOs are women. I mean, there's still that kind of huge thing, the gap in pay. But she said it never, never, never occurred to her that she could not do whatever she wanted to do. And I remember telling her that when my first job out of university, I'd been there for about 3 months, and then I was so happy. I went in and told my boss I was engaged to be married at 5 to 5 on a Friday evening. And at 5 o'clock, I walked out and I was fired. I mean, it's like,
oh my gosh.
I don't think anyone could do that and get away with it. They might try it, but I don't think they get away with it. I mean, so many of these attitudes really, you know, have changed. And, you know, that is good. But I think with the current economic situation, that women are really going to have to help each other and work with each other, because the outlook doesn't look that good. I mean, we've talked about that a little, you know, and some. And just knowing that there are people that you can talk to. And, you know, BPW goes beyond the monthly meeting.
Right.
I mean, there's like kind of having fun dinners with people. I think for me, the good thing has been being involved in, you know, chairing committees or being on committees. You get to learn quite a lot. I mean, actually, I didn't really think about that all that much, but when I think back over the last 5 years, I really have learned, and I had a fair amount of training in interpersonal skills and teaching and stuff. I really have learned a lot about how people react. I have enjoyed how a bunch of women come together, you know, and I really have some 3 or 4, 5 really, really good friendships that have come out of that. Met a lot of people that I really respect for what they're doing. And I think it's kind of neat when you meet someone who is maybe a little bit shy and they're in a group and it's very easy to overlook them. And then you kind of get to find out how much they have done in life and how much they've given to other people, how much they enjoy learning. You know, that really is good. I like that.
I like that you mentioned having friendships, because it's not, BPW is just not for networking for professional reasons, but also for personal reasons.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've met more wonderful ladies who I meet all the time for dinner, and just to call and as more of a mentoring, not just the networking, but it's definitely I've developed very good friendships through it, and I think that a lot of our members have. I think a lot of our members are very close to other members that they met through BPW, and I know there's been other little things that they've joined and done other things together, and I think that's a very good thing, is to stress that it's not just for business work. It's definitely a great way to network. So,
well, I think so. I think this may be just my own kind of thinking. You know, I would hope that BPW will continue to at least have a very strong service component in it, in working. I mean, I think it's pretty scary. You know, I don't know what the stats are, but you know, the Camp BPW, the 2 young ladies there who were from the food shelter. I mean, it really is scary to think that even where we live, there are children who are hungry, and that, you know, we need to kind of get forces together to be able to help people more. I think too, the number of mothers who, you know, are struggling to bring up kids on their own. I think there's a lot of work that people need to do. And I know that's not directly involved in BPW, but it's fairly interesting, I think, as you get to know people, how many of them, you know, have other activities that are service-oriented. That is, there seems to be something about the people who get involved. They're really committed. They really like what they're doing. I think they like to be alive. You know, they like to make things happen. So,
they like to make the world a better place.
Yes.
They're definitely community-oriented. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
Cheeky puss.
Right? So what benefits other than networking and mentoring and the programs do you see as being a member of Franklin County Business and Professional Women?
Well, you kind of learned some skills. I really do think the main benefit for me, well, 2 main benefits. One, kind of, it keeps me mindful. You know, it's very, I help run a mental health organization, and it's like 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you kind of get sucked into it that much. And so I enjoy BPW because once a month, I minimum have to get out of myself, go meet a bunch of other people, and wow, hey, there's other stuff going on out there, you know, which is very good. But more than that, I think really has been, it's not even so much friendship, but it's kind of a validation of what people really are in watching, you know, other people do things. I mean, watching someone, you know, run Camp BPW, care very much about it. People, I mean, being president of BPW of a local is not easy, because you got a whole bunch of people. They're all very individual. They all have, I mean, people hold pretty strong opinions, and they are very
Especially
open.
women.
Yeah, they're very open, and you kind of know what they're like. So, being president is not that easy. It's kind of interesting watching how different people have different styles. I think it's also very interesting when you look at the locals in this area, that they all are a little bit different in their mode of operation.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think that about two pictures come to my mind, but one is over in St. Johnsbury. They run they have a day there, an organized day for IDP, which is a little bit formal, very enjoyable, and you certainly learn a lot during the day. And then, like going over to Champlain, and they have this very comfortable kind of setup. And it's interesting how the different groups mesh, and, they obviously have don't have a different culture, but they have different characteristics.
Right.
So that's kind of neat. And I think that given, we all know that BPW has been through a hard time. And it seems to me that now, hey, we're here. We survived, we've come through, and here we are. And it seems that the various chapters can begin to enjoy each other more. Mm-hmm. I think we enjoyed going down to Burlington. Yep. That was kind of fun. And certainly they do things differently down there, you know?
It's definitely, you learn a lot, especially being president, being able to see how all the other locals operate, and the way they set up their meetings, not just from like the seating, but how they talk to their members and how they generate discussions and have the conversations and their speaker presentations. And it's definitely going to try to go to each of the locals at least once this year. And I definitely think that actually a lot of people on my board are very interested in doing that. So I think it's good. I know a lot of the other locals have wanted to come to Franklin County to come to a meeting and just see how we do things.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing that, right now is we're doing the Young Careerist program in February. So we're just getting the packages ready to go out. And, hopefully, we'll have 4 or 5 people who get involved. And it's the one thing that's going to be different this year are the questions. And I think we've pretty much got a consensus that it used to be you had to sign up for the issues for BPW.
Right.
But the foundation issues are a little more general and, whatever. So I think we have decided that we'll have questions to do with the national level, the state level, the community level, and then a more general kind of question. And, like at the state level, it could be if you could interview someone, the governor, or, someone who's really involved in the politics, what would you ask them and why? And what would you want them to change? What would you want them to do? Yeah. And certainly in the local community, what are the issues that you see in the community? What do you think should be done? And then a more general one about personal development, I think. So that's what we're focusing on now.
I definitely think that'll be better.
It should go in the local, I hope. I didn't quite finish the article.
No, I definitely think it'll be a lot better having more open-ended, more individual kind of questions that people can actually answer and have their own spin on their thoughts. I think that's definitely a good idea to have them more open-ended.
Well, and they will have, a pretty much the same criteria for judgment. I mean, they have to be able to, have abstract reasoning. They've got to give some, kind of references, resources, or examples. So, in one way, it's a kind of standard expository, approach. But, with the freedom to really give your own personal experience and opinions in it. Which is what women do nowadays. I mean, don't you think, I saw one of the programs about women in Afghanistan, and you really cannot imagine life when you have no control over your own life, And I think that is kind of a gift that we maybe take too much for granted. And when I say about keeping mindful, I really think the monthly meetings, you sit there and look around and see people. Yeah.
I think we have a very diverse membership this year, so it makes it a lot more interesting to meet different types of people.
True.
From different
Yes.
walks of life,
Yes.
from different ages to professions to, we have a few that are students. It's very nice to be able to see a mixture. I think it definitely adds to the discussions when we have the speaker presentations and the different kinds of questions that get asked and the different discussions that are generated are definitely, I think it definitely adds to the experience. So I think it's good.
Why do you think that's so? I mean, why do you think the
Why do I think that we have more diverse this year?
Yeah.
Because we have now have a website. We're on Facebook. We're on
True.
YouTube. We're on TV. I think that we're getting out in the community more. People now know a little bit more about us. Whenever you go to different parts of the city and you say you're a member, when I say I'm a president of Franklin County Business and Professional Women, they don't look at me and say, "What's that?"
What's that? Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get that anymore. When I was finance chair and walking around trying to raise money, getting local businesses to sponsor us for things, a lot of them either had never heard of us or what they did know was very vague. A lot of them thought we were the same as what we were in the 60s when we started. So it was kind of nice to be able to go around and talk to different people and, explain what we do and why we do it. When we meet, the kinds of meetings we have with the speakers, the presentations, our new member inductions, to talk to them about what we are and what we do, definitely opened up a lot of eyes and definitely opened up a lot of ears. And people remember you, and they, I went to the Women's Economic Conference with you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was very interesting because in both of my classes, I saw people that had come as guests to our meetings. And one girl I had actually met at the conference the year before, and I saw her, and she remembered me and remembered I was a member of BPW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely a memorable thing. I think if each of our members told somebody about it, I'm sure that they would, everybody would remember it, and definitely adds to the awareness in the community that we're here, what we do, and I think that that's definitely a good thing. So that's definitely a reason why we have a lot more diverse membership now. It's not a closed, meeting where nobody knows where you are and what you do. We're definitely out there in the community more. So,
well, I guess one other thing that we really haven't touched on, talking about the kind of, flagship programs, is our scholarship program. It will be fun to be able to develop that and to do more with that, And but I think what you're saying about developing the membership, becoming more widely known, and I think it is keeping things on a personal level. Like, I was kind of a bit struck that one of the companies that we went to support Camp BPW, I think they'd had letters over a period of 5 years. But when we were there, we just talked to someone who wasn't even in a position to make a decision about giving money, but did go talk to the person who could, and they became a sponsor of Camp BPW. So I think getting out into the community and doing things.
There's personal connections.
Yeah, and collaborations with other groups in the community, It's really opens it up.
Another thing about the connections in the community, in April we're doing a community awareness meeting, and there will be different display tables set up by other nonprofits in Franklin County, and it'll be definitely a good way for everybody to kind of mingle and for people from the community to come in as guests and be able to be able to meet new people, definitely get more volunteers for other organizations, and also to just have those open discussions, because a lot of the things that they're running into, we are too. So it's definitely definitely a good thing. So so that's our April meeting, and our next meeting is actually going to be our holiday party, which will be on December 12th. We're having it at the St. Albans VFW down on Lake Street, and it'll be potluck. So everybody A through M brings an appetizer, N through Z brings dessert.
I'm in the dessert group.
I get to think, I don't even know what I'm going to bring yet. But anyways, I was going to say it'll be a pretty easygoing evening. We are awarding our Woman of the Year, and we're also doing our new member inductions. So our business is very light. I mean, it'll be all fun. And so it'll definitely be a good thing. And for every person that brings, there's no cover charge or anything for the meeting. And for every non-perishable food item that is brought, they'll get a raffle ticket. And at the end of the night, we're drawing it for a door prize. So that's something else that we're doing. We're doing the Yankee swap for our members to each bring a gift under $15, and we could all fight over it.
I forgot one of the really, really beautiful things about BPW that I don't think we've done in a while, but the very best meal I ever had was when we did a potluck meal. It really was good. If nothing else, we're good cooks.
Well, it's definitely nice to see what different things that people bring. I mean, everybody in our group is so multifaceted. I mean, it's amazing the talents that you learn people have. So definitely we like our food.
You can say that again. Yeah.
So you can check us out for more information about any of our meetings at bpwfranklincounty.com. Thank you. Have a good night.